为啥男人越活越累呢？
Why are men living more and more tiredly? There are 3 points, and I hope the men who finish watching this don't cry. First, the contempt from their wives, reducing them to money-making machines. Look, nowadays, most men are looked down upon by their wives, treated no differently than a tool for making money. In this day and age, men who live honestly and work hard are looked down upon, while those womanizing scumbags are revered as gods by some women. Consequently, more and more women despise their husbands, either because he's poor or because he's not romantic, even feeling that their husband is dragging them down and lowering their quality of life. For a man, making his wife happy in this lifetime is incredibly difficult. He has to both earn money to support the family and know how to whisper sweet nothings to please her. To make his parents proud, he must be successful in his career and fulfill the duty of carrying on the family line. If he has 2 kids, to make them happy, he has to work like an ox and a horse, and also buy them a house and a car, as if he has to prepare a BMW for them to drive. But what about a man trying to make himself happy? I'm afraid he'll have to wait until flowers bloom on his grave to get a moment's peace. Second, being held hostage by money and bearing heavy pressure. A man's life is tightly bound by money, crushed by its weight. Nowadays, more and more women fall in love with rich men and talk about money with poor men. To a wealthy man they say, "Darling, I'm not after your money. As long as you love me, that's enough." But if they meet a poor man, they constantly have caring words are not as good as a large sum of money on the tip of their tongue. Money has corrupted people's hearts, so all the burdens are heaped onto the men. You see, a woman who earns 3,000 yuan a month, approximately $422, dares to travel and run all over the world. But a man, even if he earns 10,000 a month, approximately $1,407, has no spare cash. Why? He has to pay the mortgage and car loan, support his parents above, and raise his children below. In the middle of it all, his wife is constantly demanding romantic gestures and a sense of ceremony. A man has to work desperately his whole life, but in the end, what happens? The property belongs to the children, the salary must be handed over to the wife, and only the hardship and grievances are his own. And still he has to force a smile and say, "I'm fine." Third, the loneliness of being at a low point with no one for company. This third point is truly heartbreaking. If you're faint of heart, I suggest you don't read any further. Let me tell you a cruel truth. When a woman has no money, most men will choose to work hard to support her. But if a man runs out of money, a portion of women will leave him. Therefore, a man can only get through his lowest points alone. No one knows the path he has walked, how broken he was inside, or how helpless he felt. And the woman who left him is still out there, proclaiming that not a single man is a good person. They love the men who know how to party and play around, but they break the hearts of the men who genuinely love them. As for men, well, as hard as it is, they still have to grit their teeth and keep moving forward. Life isn't easy, but the days must go on, right?
中国的男人为家庭付出了一生。
Chinese men have dedicated their entire lives to their families, yet they rarely receive care and support. I am a man, and I have discovered a heartbreaking truth. Why are men so tired in this life? When he was a child and was spanked by his mother, he could only say, "Mom, I was wrong." In school, it was, "Teacher, I was wrong." After starting work, it was, "Boss, I was wrong." When dating, it was, "Baby, I was wrong." After getting married, it was, "Wife, I was wrong." He has never been right in his entire life. It's not easy being a man. When a woman is tired, she has someone to accompany her. When a woman cries, a man is there to comfort her. When a man is tired, he can only listen to that song by Andy Lau. Men, go ahead and cry. It's not a sin. Therefore, men can only turn to cigarettes and alcohol to relieve their sorrows. Some older women can never understand why alcohol, which tastes so bad, is something their husbands enjoy drinking. He can only rely on cigarettes and alcohol to numb himself. The whole world teaches men how to love a woman, but very few people teach a woman how to be considerate of her man. Everyone tells men to be strong, to be brave, to hold up the sky, but no one understands that most men are just ordinary men. March 8th is Women's Day, which has now been changed to Goddess Day. Then there's Singles' Day on November 11th, another day for consumption. In short, there's a holiday every month, and except for the Qingming festival, every holiday requires spending money on women. But may I ask, which holiday is for spending money on men? It seems only Father's Day exists. On their own holiday, men receive no gifts. The first flower most men receive is at their own funeral, and that's for funerals abroad. There's no concept of fresh flowers in Chinese funerals. Some people say that Chinese men are mere tools, and this statement is both realistic and heartbreaking. In China, the first thing a man must learn is how to make money. There are no other options. If a man can't make money, he can't even get a wife. If you have no money and manage to get married, the man next door will help you take care of your wife. Therefore, the first lesson a Chinese man must learn is how to make money. It's strange. Elementary school doesn't teach you how to make money, middle school doesn't teach you how to make money, and university doesn't teach you how to make money. A Chinese man has never learned how to make money in his entire life, yet the one thing he needs to learn the most is, in fact, how to make money. When a man is in his teens or 20s and has no money, no one will say anything. By the time he's in his 30s, people start to notice. A man in his 40s or 50s with no money comes home to a wife who ignores him, the old dog in the house ignores him, and even his own mother looks down on him. Most men become quiet and feel lonely in middle age. It's not easy to drink and have tea alone. People say that men with money can't be trusted, but then I ask, if a woman has money, can she be trusted? As a man, I earn 100,000 yuan a month, which is approximately $14,068, but I only spend 1,000 yuan on myself. That's the truth. Where does the rest of the money go? To household expenses, parents' medical bills, buying a car, and buying a house. Men may seem stingy on a daily basis, but when it comes to major household purchases, isn't it the man who pays? Earning money is hard enough, but women, you need to think about it. Chinese men have dedicated their entire lives to their families, yet they rarely receive care and support. Look at those who are square dancing, playing cards, and shopping. Most of them are women. What can men do? What's left to make a man happy? Cigarettes, alcohol, and fishing. When a woman cries, she gets a man's sympathy. When a man cries, women look down on him. A man can only truly cry by himself when he's fishing. Out of 100 men, 99 are good men. They all have a sense of responsibility. They have parents to support, children to raise, and they have to provide for their wife's Audi, their son's Ultraman, and even Oreos. They work from dawn till dusk. Everything a man strives for is to be a good son, a good husband, and a good father. Generally speaking, what a man wants is actually very simple. After a long day, he comes home to a smiling wife and a hot meal. What he eats isn't important. When the husband picks up the teapot, the wife should bring the tea leaves. In this way, he feels that all his efforts are worthwhile. Why do I love my fans so much? It's because I'm an ordinary man. Only in the live stream and the comment section can I see everyone's love, likes, and enthusiasm for me. I deeply care about my fans' likes and affirmation.
来看视频，为什么现在的中国男人越活越累呢？
Watch this video. Why are Chinese men living more and more tiredly nowadays? Let's listen. Why are Chinese men living an increasingly exhausting life? Chinese men are living more and more tiredly, and I have summarized 3 reasons so real they will make you cry. First, the demands society places on men are getting higher and higher. I read a survey about the experience of being a Chinese man, and the most liked answer said this: a qualified Chinese man in his 20s must embody the spirit of a gentleman and chivalry, taking care of all the girls within his sight. In his 30s, he must build a career, have a car, a house, and savings to be worthy of a Chinese woman. In his 40s, he must proactively step out of his comfort zone and bear the expectations of his entire family. Many men work themselves to the bone to support their families, enduring life's beatings without complaint, only to find they don't even count as a qualified man. How can they not be tired? In addition, they face dual pressures. Outside, they must work hard to earn money, be subservient to their bosses, and learn to read people's expressions. At home, they must only report good news and hide the bad, and also be able to please their wives. He gives the decency to his family and keeps the hardship for himself. He wears 3 sets of clothes through all 4 seasons, uses a towel until it's worn out before replacing it, and says it's fine even when his underwear is torn. But even if they work hard without complaint, they still face all kinds of negative complaints every day. Life is hard. His wife complains he's incompetent. If there are conflicts at home, his parents blame him for not taking action. Some people even blame him for being an eyesore when they're in a bad mood. The hardship of work and financial struggles only make him physically and mentally exhausted. It's the lack of understanding, consideration, compassion, and the contempt from his loved ones that truly crushes a man. So in the end, you'll find that many men end up living like the title of that song, Lonely Warrior. They rush about every day with no one asking if they're tired, and no one caring if their life is hard. In their world, truly everything is real except for happiness. The difficulty of earning money is real, the difficulty of finding true friends is real, and the confusion is also real. Looking back, there is no one to rely on. They have literally lived their lives as actors, pretending to be happy in front of their parents, pretending to be rich and a big shot in front of their wives, pretending to be heroes in front of their children, and pretending to be healthy in front of themselves. They don't dare to cry out in exhaustion, and they certainly don't dare to retreat, because on their shoulders, they carry the weight of an entire family. He knows that if he doesn't work hard one day, he won't be able to be filial to his parents, won't be able to dote on his wife, and won't be able to provide a future for his children. So he has set even his crying and tantrums to silent mode. But life hasn't gotten better just because he works hard. Instead, it has crushed him to the point where he can't even breathe. In those sleepless nights of tossing and turning, he always wonders when these days will ever end. But life must go on. No matter how bitter or tiring it is, he can only grit his teeth and persevere. This is the life of most Chinese men. If you think I'm right, please show your support.
And before we continue, let us know in the comments where you're watching this video from. Connecting with viewers from all around the world is a huge inspiration for us. Thank you so much.
Will this attitude towards life become a future security risk? Will it become a burden on society? I think it's absolutely possible. I particularly agree with what an older gentleman just said. He said it's not that women don't want to get married, but because men don't have money. It's not that men don't want to get married, but because they can't earn enough money. It can be said that in our China, the pressure on men is arguably the greatest in the world, truly. Those who are fathers must think of their sons, and those who are sons, when their own fathers get old, must think of their fathers. For people our age, at 50 years old, what are we still striving for out there? In fact, we're no longer doing it just for ourselves. If it were only for myself, I wouldn't need to work so desperately. Don't I have an elderly father above me? Don't I have an unmarried son below me? Just like that, we Chinese men are already crushed to the point where we can't breathe. This is the way of the world.
来，我们来听听中国男人的压力有多惨。
Let's hear how miserable the pressure on Chinese men really is. Where have all the Chinese men gone? Why is it that whenever there's a report of someone dying, it's always a man? China has over 10 million married couples, and more than half of the men in them die exhausted in their 50s or 60s, while women easily live to 80 or 90. Chinese men dedicate their entire lives to their families but receive no care or support in return. Look around. Most of the people dancing in the squares, playing cards, shopping, or chatting at the village entrance are women. So where did the men go? Say it, and many men will probably cry, because the men are all gone and they left feeling deeply wronged. Some died from overwork, some from anger, some from loneliness. Even the few who remain are half dead. If I say men face the greatest pressure in the world, do you agree? In China, men can't be called men. They should be called tools. Chinese men have never been treated as human beings. In China, men must earn money. That's just how the world works. Men can only rely on themselves to keep going. Women can take a step back and lean on men, but men can't because behind them is a cliff. One step back means death. So their only choice is to grit their teeth and endure until they can't bear it anymore, until they can't walk anymore, and then they disappear. I'd even dare to say Chinese men are the most miserable men in the world. Their wives don't understand them, and what's worse, women will always scold men. If he doesn't earn money, he gets scolded. If he doesn't read his wife's mood, he gets scolded. If he doesn't buy gifts during holidays, he gets scolded. Do you believe many women never think they're wrong? If they admit they're wrong, it's only because they married the wrong man. When women face problems, they can cry, curse, talk, and vent. What can men do? They can only heal themselves, swallowing all their grievances alone. Over time, can they stay healthy? A short life might be fate's arrangement. And there are men who die in loneliness, even though they were the family's pillar their whole lives, but their children ignore them, don't understand them. Some heartless children even think that once a man gets old and can't earn money, he's useless. Gradually, he's despised by his wife and children, and in the end, no one cares, and he dies alone. So, honestly, Chinese men have no one to rely on their entire lives. They live far too exhausted. They have to support parents in their 80s above them, raise children below them, pay off house and car loans every month, always robbing Peter to pay Paul. They wake earlier than roosters and sleep later than dogs, just to feed the whole family. As long as they can earn money, they'll do any job. When they get home, they're not cherished or understood. If they can't earn money, they're just blamed for being useless. Why do we always hear women say they're tired, but never hear men complain online? Because they swallow all their pain. Just like the male fans who do cross-border video reposting with me. After work, they still follow me until 2 a.m., every penny earned with their bodies. But there's no choice. Who made them men? They hold up the entire family, yet it's said to be their duty. This society is like this. If you have money, everyone revolves around you, praises you, pities you. If you don't, no one sees how much you give. I hope society can give men a little more understanding. Don't let them completely lose heart. Chinese men are undoubtedly the most exhausted and burdened group of people in the world. I wonder if everyone has noticed that those dancing in the squares and strolling in the parks are basically all elderly women. So where have all the old men gone? A very small number of lucky ones are drinking tea, playing chess, and looking after their grandchildren. And the unlucky ones? They were hung on the wall long ago. The life of a Chinese man, to be honest, is truly too difficult. When they are young, in order to marry a wife, buy a car, a house, and save up for the bride price, they have to work a 996 schedule, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. In middle age, for their children's school fees and their parents' medical expenses, they also have to work overtime relentlessly. When they get old, in order to buy a house and get a wife for their son, even if their backs are bent with exhaustion, they still have to keep fighting desperately. Why is it like this? It's as if this society has long defined a man's role. As a man, you must earn money. You must support your family. You must carry everything. Some men, in order to earn money, go to construction sites to carry cement and tie rebar, go hundreds of meters deep underground to dig coal, or drive long-haul trucks. They all know these jobs are dirty, tiring, and dangerous, but they still go without hesitation. This is also why the accidental death rate for Chinese men aged 20 to 60 is 2.38 times that of women. Now, let's talk about the current workplace. 996 is the norm, right? 007, working 24/7, is not uncommon either. Even if you work overtime late into the night, you still have to clock in on time the next day. News stories about sudden death from overwork are not few, and 9 out of 10 are men. Are they tired? Of course, they are tired. But do they dare to say they're tired? They don't dare. Because everyone tells them, "You're a man. What's a little hardship?" What's more cruel is that as soon as a man loses his job, 80% of women will choose to divorce. For those unemployed men, at first, The wife might offer a few words of comfort. It's okay. Take your time to find something. But as long as that man stays at home for more than 3 months without an income, the atmosphere in the home is bound to change. He'll think, well, I'll just do more housework to make up for it. But his wife will say he's worthless, just spinning around the stove all day. But if he does less, his wife will call him lazy. If you try to confide in your wife about your mental stress, you'll be called melodramatic. But if you don't say anything, you'll be accused of giving the cold shoulder. In the end, some women might even throw out the line, "Marrying you was the worst luck of my 8 lifetimes," and then toss him a divorce agreement. But here's the problem. When they first got married, the wife clearly said, "I love you as a person, not your money." Back in the day, when Jackie Chan talked about his friend's wife running off with the pension money, many people heard it as a joke. But among couples who divorced in 2024, 45.7% did so for financial reasons. Some women, when a man is successful, they enjoy the good life with him. When a man falls on hard times, they are always the first to run. And they won't admit they're materialistic. They'll just say, "I'm not leaving you because you're poor. I'm leaving because you lack ambition." So, what is ambition? To put it bluntly, doesn't it ultimately come down to money? Many men reach middle age, their health collapses, they lose their jobs, their wives look down on them, and even their children join in the disdain. Only then do they realize that a man's life is actually just that of a human tool. When they are earning money, they are the pillar of the family. When they can't earn money, they are useless old things. What's more tragic is that they don't even have the right to cry out in pain. This society is always teaching women to love themselves, but who is there to teach men to love themselves? A woman can say, with full justification, "I want to enjoy life." But if a man dares to say the same, he will immediately be scolded as irresponsible. But what I want to say is, men are human too. They get tired, they feel pain, and they also long for a little understanding and gentleness. So, if your husband is a man of few words, works hard, and never complains of being tired, please be a little kinder to him. For the sake of your small family, he has been gritting his teeth and holding on for a very long time. He has been gritting his teeth and holding on for a very long time. A man's life doesn't always need applause. Sometimes, all it needs is understanding. He's not afraid of pain or exhaustion. What he fears most is that the world takes his suffering for granted. From childhood to old age, he carries endless roles: a son, a husband, a father, a provider. He shoulders an entire family, sometimes even 2 generations, and forgets one simple truth: he is human too. The world teaches men to be strong, to make money, to never break. But no one teaches them how to love themselves, how to be vulnerable, how to say, "I'm tired." So they bury their emotions behind forced smiles, sleepless nights, and silent tears. Men don't need to be worshipped, they just want to be understood. When you see a man go quiet, it doesn't mean he doesn't care. Maybe he's swallowing 1,000 unspoken words. When you see him smile, it doesn't mean he's fine. Sometimes, it's the last thing holding him together after fighting the whole world all day. So if you're hearing this, remember, treat the man beside you with a little more kindness, patience, and respect. Because behind that "I'm fine" face lies a heart that also hurts, also fears, and is still fighting, just to be loved. If this message resonates with you, please leave a comment to share your thoughts. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Chinese Emotion so we can continue our journey of exploring and healing the deepest of human emotions.